And we're live. All right. Yeah, and everyone appears to be working. Matt's on a new TV. Nice.
You gotta wait for the stream lag to catch up so I can see.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, let me get Craig in here too, just so we have a backup. Backup of the audio usually sounds a little bit nicer.
Craig.
Here he comes.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I can see myself now.
Cool. Oh, so sorry. I think you're going to hear this on the stream.
Now recording.
Sorry about that. So that's the bot we use on Discord to record all of our actual plays. Craig and his ilk. Oh, cool. Looks like we already got people in the chat. Good to see everybody. Hey, Calarion. Nice.
I'm not formatted for this old TV.
Yeah, you're a little too widescreen. Yeah, it was a video. So yeah, so if anybody is objecting to any of Matt's opinions, I have the capability now of just making him go to snow. See, it's a video loop instead of a like a graphic.
You put me out in the snow and I'll crawl out of there ring style on you.
That's right. I'll hear your voice, that poltergeist echoey way. Mommy.
Yes, Arturo, that is a cathode ray tube.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, sorry. I wanted to come up with a new background. This one's a little stark and that doesn't fit so well, but we'll make it work.
Did Will tell his stupid CRT hunt story on the air last time, or were we already off?
I think we might have been off. Yeah, what was he looking for?
Oh, just like when flat screens were just kind of starting to get popular.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't handle them. Like the refresh rate was too low, and it would give him like headaches and stuff. So literally, he would scour the city to find the biggest CRT he could find.
Wow!
And like he a couple times I remember he went on hunts for big CRT monitors. And then he finally relented and joined the future.
That's funny. Yeah, some guy made a video about the hunt for this like legendary Sony CRT, like one of the last like large cathode ray like Sony Trinitrons or whatever that was ever produced. I forget. It was pretty big. It was like 42-inch or 50, whatever. It was like the highest end of that kind of market, and it weighed a ton. It like literally needed 4 people to move it. And they found one of the last existing ones in this like sushi restaurant in a building that was the restaurant was out of business. The building was going to be demolished, and there was like this crowdfunding effort to try to raise money to ship it to the US. It was very, very nonsense, but I can't imagine how much, because it probably weighed like 500 pounds or something, just absolutely insane. And
yeah,
I can't imagine how they would.
Or why? Do you ever have to? Oh man, I probably took years off my life moving big old school TVs when I was, like in the 90s. Like,
oh yeah,
those things were so heavy.
Yeah, definitely. That was ridiculous. The moving the TV was like the piano, of your possessions, because if you had anything like 27 inches and above, it was, ridiculously heavy, and and all the weight was in the front. It easily tipped forward. Nice stuff. Old CRT talk. This has been our CRT minute.
Did you have that urban myth around you back then, where there's a story about the guy carrying the old old school TV? He was moving, and he was carrying it with the screen pointing towards him, and it exploded or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
No,
I don't
no.
think I don't think that really happened, but
Ouch.
some reason every time someone moved, someone would have to bring it up.
Bring this story up, yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I had this old one of the earlier like widescreen. It was a DLP that kind of an LCD that was projecting. It was like reprojecting a little It was magnifying like a little LCD screen on kind of an internal projection, and
Mm.
we uh
Are those the ones that had to clean themselves? They had like that scan bar thing they
oh
would
yeah,
do
no,
to.
no this one wasn't that, yeah, it wasn't quite that old, but it was, yeah, it was that sort of generation. So we got invaded by ladybugs because this was when we were living kind of rurally, and one of the local farmers was trying to use, like, environmentally friendly pesticides, which is ladybugs. So they released all these ladybugs on their crops, and of course, when it gets old, or cold, when it starts to get cold, all the ladybugs are trying to get into somewhere warm. So our house got invaded, and so it was in the fall, starting to get cold, and some of them had crawled into the television, and they were on the screen. Like, you could see them on the screen crawling because they were being projected, but they weren't, like, physically there. They were inside the television, but it looked like they were walking across the front of the television. And we were collecting these things. We were collecting these
Oh,
things to get them
wow.
outside. I told my daughter, "Can you just brush those off the screen?" And it was like one of those like ring moments or whatever. She went to touch
Uh,
the screen and thought she would actually touch something, and they weren't there. They were actually, being a digital projection. So she freaked
yeah.
out. That was really that was one of the funniest like jump scares I think she's ever had. It's like, it's not there.
Yeah. I used to work for well, what's called FedEx Office now, but everyone
Hmm.
else knew it as Kinko's.
Ah, right.
And before the copiers were digital, they just flashed,
Hmm.
right? And well, the high end ones flashed. The cheapy self-serve ones had a little scan bar thing.
Right, right.
But the ones we would use for our big production flash, and we had a gigantic Xerox 5690,
Hmm.
and it would flash like 2.5 times a second, right?
Oh, uh-huh.
So there were a couple things we did with it, but one of the funny things was, like, every once in a while a cricket or a fly or something would go underneath the lid while it was running. And so copies would come out, and it would look like a trail of bugs walking across the copy
Right, right,
because of the flashing as it walked.
right.
But the other thing we did, and this was early 90s when that company
Mm.
was cool.
Uh,
We were 24 hours. So like 3 in the morning, no one was in the store.
mhm.
Turn off all the lights, open the lids on all the copiers, like there were probably about 14,
Oh.
and start them all. And it would be like a strobe rave party going on.
Right.
It was
Oh,
hilarious.
man. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, the 90s.
Yeah, yeah. Back in the day, the simple times.
Oh, hey,
Mm,
I forgot to tell you.
mhm,
So, I messaged you guys. I met up with Terry and we had lunch, and he
mhm.
brought some of his old game stuff, right?
Right.
So that got me inspired, and I went digging
Oh.
in my garage because there was some stuff I thought I had that I wanted to show him.
Hmm.
Didn't find it, but what
Oh.
I did find was this old paper case box, big old box,
Hmm.
um, full of role playing stuff. And I forgot that years ago,
Uh-huh.
a guy who I used to work with was moving out of state, and he's like, "Hey, I got this box of RPG stuff. You want it?" And I was like, "Sure." And it's been in my garage like this whole time.
Oh, wow.
So I opened the lid, right? And first thing I saw was some RuneQuest stuff.
Hmm.
And I haven't owned RuneQuest stuff since the 90s. And and then I looked under and I saw some AD&D second edition books.
Uh-huh.
And that was only going down like 2 inches. There's a ton of crap in this box.
Wow.
So what I think I'm gonna do is
Mhm.
do a unboxing
Oh, of
video
the box? Yeah, yeah.
and just see what else is in
Oh,
there.
that's great. Oh, that'd be
Yeah,
fun. Yeah, that'd be
yeah,
really
it would be
fun.
kind of fun.
Very
It's
cool.
heavy. It weighs like
Yeah.
50 pounds.
Wow. Yeah, that's got to be
Yeah.
a ton of books then. Oh, very
Hmm.
cool. Yeah, yeah, that would be a really fun video.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow, yeah, hopefully there's something fun we can get up to in there too. Some
Hmm.
old school stuff we haven't played.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's an old RuneQuest edition.
Wow.
I'm not sure. I mean, like before, it's Chaosium before. Who bought that for a while? Oh, Mongoose had it for a
Hmm.
while.
Right.
It's before that, so cool.
Nice.
Larry Elmore was fired
Oh,
from
yeah.
Dragonlance project by WotC recently.
Yeah, for the new
I thought
novels.
they. Oh, I thought they gave up on Dragonlance. Okay.
Yeah, the new novels, or yeah, I think it's the new novels. They he offered to do the covers, and I guess the publisher, Random House or whatever, said no, we want to go with a digital artist because we like digital art, and it's very like chick lit
Uh,
looking. It's very like it's a little anime in the how the characters look, and it's not good. It's really like low quality art. So yeah, thanks Carolina. Yeah, that was really yeah, really
what?
depressing. They wouldn't go with the original artist, and so the depictions of the characters are very odd. Intentionally looks kind of female friendly, I think, is why they probably didn't go with an old school artist. But
They could have just told him not to put some extra layers on. He didn't like
yeah,
have to
it's ridiculous.
fire him.
Right.
Oh my god, that feels very intentional. Like distance ourselves from the oldies again. You
Right.
know.
Well, that's what somebody brought up. I was watching some YouTube video that brought up the fact. You remember the kind of controversy about the his red box illustration where they released the miniature and it was a woman of color and the barbarian was a woman of color, and he posted initially on social media, I was there, I drew it, I know that that's a white dude, and then he had to kind of step back from that because I guess he got some flack. He kind of okay said, yeah, it can be whoever you want, but initially he reacted and said, I painted it, I know I know what my intention was. Yeah, so that people are suspecting that may be his punishment for going
Uh,
against the management's yeah, ideology. Yeah, that's really sad. So and it's
yeah.
like that's the last chance. That's a he is an older gentleman, and it's lucky he still has his skills. He could be unable to paint anymore.
He
So
must be like in his 70s or
mhm.
something.
Yeah, and so while they have him, they should be using him, and they just don't. They just don't. It doesn't matter. I mean, they just
Yeah,
can't wait to disparage him.
he's 76.
Yeah.
That's really weird. I mean,
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
one thing, didn't they have a plan to bring back Dragonlance in the game and then they canceled that?
I can't remember what happened with the. No, they did release. I think they released something because there was a like a board game kind of thing. They did do something with Dragonlance after they're fighting over royalties and stuff, and
Because
then
they
they
with was it Hickman and
hmm
Weiss?
and
Didn't they have?
they settled out of court. Yeah, because Hickman and Weiss I think were suing them for royalties.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
settled out of court, and they WotC released a the first three Dragonlance volumes in like this like super deluxe version, kind of like how they were doing with the art and Arcana and all those books. They're releasing the original novels in a combined volume, like an omnibus kind of thing. But
Hmm.
yeah, so I think things are settled. But yeah, they're not done torturing them, I think.
It's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough, man. Because like, I actually don't. I never really liked. I'm not. This is gonna sound bad, but I didn't really like. I didn't like Dragonlance that much. It didn't. It didn't do much for me.
Mhm.
But it is like Elmore's art is Dragonlance.
Yes, yes, yeah, right,
Like,
right.
I mean, to a large degree, I mean, he's a big part of some of the other worlds too. But Elmore, like Dragonlance, was Elmore.
Hmm.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is very odd. Let me see how big this.
Why not do some collaborations? Like Like have him do the cover and then do some color plates inside where people reinterpret his characters or something.
You're right. Yeah,
You
there
know?
would have been more respectful ways to go about it, but I don't think they were, yeah, interested in that. All right. I think I can show. Here, let me try to do this. I think I can pop this up in the corner here. Yeah, this is the where did it go? This is the image that they produced, or the artwork that was produced, and it's like it doesn't even compare. It's very very disappointing. Does this work? Boom. Oh yeah, you can't barely see it. Hey, hey. Yeah, but it's very digital, and it has a weird it just has a weird kind of vagueness, and everybody is kind of a little anime in their like features and stuff. So I don't know if it's an Asian artist or just a fan of anime, but not great when you compare it to the original. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. It's really hard to see, but yeah, just not the style. And if they're talking about it visually being more interesting, I think his work is far more.
Oh, dynamic.
Yeah, much more bright,
Like these
brighter
are
and
people
dynamic.
standing on a porch.
Yep, yep. It's it's not interesting
It,
at all.
they mimicked his color palette. You can
Mm-hmm,
tell that,
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
but
true.
yeah, it doesn't look the same.
Yeah, very silly.
Oh, it's got their names on it though. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, they wrote them, so yeah, they're getting credit, which is yeah, they don't want to do that anymore. That's for sure. I'm sure it was part of the out of court settlement is that they would be properly credited. It wasn't just going to be the Hasbro Hasbro fiction team or whatever Games Workshop does. Uh, yeah, so crazy. So yeah, we're gonna get back to some Fallout. I get a chance,
Mhm.
yeah, to watch the Amazon series again. I wasn't like I was so reluctant to go back to it because it like some of the story stuff wasn't that interesting, but it was fun to look at the setting stuff. Like this time back going back through, I was looking at like the more the art
Visuals.
direction, the production, yeah, the visual production, and so yeah, that was fun. And the whole way that it just kind of it's just like three characters meandering around and bumping into each other in the wasteland is fun. But
Mhm.
how they did the drama was like okay. And it does seem like I think a lot of people are worried, and what they're doing is trying to erase everything that was done in Fallout New Vegas, like everything Obsidian did with the lore and the storyline and everything. Bethesda's trying to rewrite, and I just hope that they don't consider this show, canon, or consider like this is the true, because they're already doing some kind of odd stuff with the timeline. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see Vegas because they're actually doing it. Like they're not going to do green screens and just walking in front of digital. It's they actually built that in like North Hollywood. There's actually like New Vegas, and they shot it like pre-war, and then they messed it all up, and put Deathclaw marks all over it, and then
Uh,
are going to
that's
film it for
yeah,
the
that's
post.
awesome. I enjoyed the the flashback stuff with
Hmm.
the ghoul. Like I enjoyed seeing the pre-war world
Yeah.
for
Oh yeah.
for a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't want a series there, but for a little bit it was fun.
Hmm. And there's neat things you can do in the contrast, like a cut to, oh, and this is him now. And I think they kind of did that with there was a couple scenes, yeah, where they were putting pieces together, and then they cut to, oh, and here it is now. And
Mhm.
but it didn't quite, it should have hit harder. That was the thing, especially watching it the second time. That really should have hit harder, the reveal of who the father was, and how this whole apocalypse happened. um for some reason, even with their like dramatic music and stuff, it didn't have that whoa kind of thing. It was just like uh-huh.
Are you
Yeah.
talking about the Kyle MacLachlan
Yes,
thing?
yeah, the Kyle
Yeah,
MacLachlan
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah, that was he's not a very crazy good villain, I guess. I don't
hmm
know.
hmm
Like but I was way more interested in the protagonist. Like I liked Walter Goggins a lot, and I
same
like I like what they were all up to. Like, to me, I guess because it's a video game, to me, like the bad guys are all just challenges and threats. Like,
Mhm.
I never really got the feeling of a big arc with one villain or anything in the
Mhm.
video game. I know there were some, but it just never grabbed me anyway. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wonder what they're gonna do. And even trying to listen to some lore for New Vegas, like it's so conflicting, and everybody's playthrough was different, and people like literally did videos based on their playthrough, and it's like, wait, no, there's a lot of other ways things could have gone. So I think we're very free to do whatever we want in New Vegas because it's very yeah, it's there's a lot of
Hmm.
conflicting, and that's kind of cool too, because with the basically communications have been crippled and everything. So yeah, nobody's going to have the real story. There's going to be a lot of legends and urban myths, and there's going to be a lot of rumors that people believe.
Hmm.
So that's part of the fun, I think.
Hmm.
Very good. All right. Yeah. So look for that tomorrow. We'll pick up. Oh, and I forgot to ask on our uh the message group. How's Dylan looking? And is Terry definitely out? Are we? How many players are we looking at?
Oh, I'll message them right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Dylan has jury duty.
Oh,
Boo-ha!
geez. Yeah.
So, and he got put on a jury, so
Oh no.
he'll actually be home early tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah. That's no fun. And the stipend they pay is like not a day's wages, so it really sucks.
Terry was a maybe, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. There was like a birthday or something. So we'll see.
Yeah, Dylan should be available at any rate.
Cool. Yeah, so look forward to that. We'll at least have 3 players, so we hope 3. Yeah. And that will be good. Yeah, it's fun. I like so far we've just played kind of fun games so far this year. It hasn't been anything too heavy or too intense. That's been good. Been
They're
enjoying that.
all fun.
Oh,
They're
that's right. They're
all
all fun.
fun.
They're all fun. That's right. That's right.
I mean, maybe that one election thing we did wasn't,
Okay, that wasn't fun. That was
but
brutal.
everything around it was so fun.
Yeah, I'm not going to be releasing that as a separate, mechanic for running your your world senate, your universal congress. I don't think that's going to work well. uh, all right. Well, cool. Well, should we get started for this week?
Yeah, we got full chat going.
Nice. Yeah, good to see everybody in the chat. Arturo and Abyss, Carolina. Yeah, thanks for the heads up about the Dragonlance stuff. That was really disappointing. It's just like Disney with doing the sequel trilogy. They had Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and they never let them have a scene together. Like they never put them on the Millennium Falcon together and did anything even remotely nostalgic enough to like warrant paying them. That was such a waste of time. And
Terry is definitely out. Sorry to interrupt.
oh, no, no problem.
Live messages coming through.
We need to
Terry is
scroll.
definitely out.
Okay.
Will's definitely in.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah,
So,
that should work. I think that might actually fit the story.
ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll do that. Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll see how many because there's a couple of really fun little campaigns that they released, so we can kind of play those yeah, however we want, and in whatever pieces would be fun. But I think things will build up pretty good uh for Fallout. It should be fun. And I want you guys to, be able to level up just to take advantage of all the fun perks and stuff. So throw some stuff at you so you can get some
I want me to do that also.
get some good abilities so things get really weird. And of course you got to find a bunch of stuff you got to carry around. It wouldn't be Fallout if you weren't over encumbered. All right. Okay, so let's get started for this week. I'll just pull this out, its own thing. All right. Welcome to the weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Matt.
Hey, Matt. Chris is tied up at work, and Matt is kind enough to get on that TV. Although he's not fitting on this newer model we have. He's not fitting
Kind
on.
of cramped in
Yeah.
here.
We got to come up with a permanent setting. I wanted something a little bit different. But this week on the weekly, BattleTech 40K, Kings of War, Kings of War Champions, StarCraft Wargame, and Monster Apocalypse. So this is a very Wargame heavy episode, and also the theme of this episode should be an answer to a question no one asked, or maybe a solution looking for a problem. Because none of these, a lot of these things kind of feel that way. It's like, okay, you could do that, I guess. So first, let's start with the thing that was blowing up the wargaming internet, and I can actually show you a little bit of that with the audio off. So we got this trailer on social media timed just before Adepticon is coming up, right? So there's going to be a crowdfunder this this summer for this introductory box, I guess they're calling it. It's a it's a one-off kind of themed thing. So the grimdark endless war of some some situation is coming to BattleTech, and they dropped this with this trailer, with this like pretty heavily produced animated trailer showing kind of gothy modified
Dude,
mechs killing abominations, so kind of kaiju hunting. Yeah,
the first scene there with the kind of yellowish background is exactly the colors they use in Warhammer when they're doing Nurgle stuff.
right. Yes, I think they're pretty blatantly kind of doing, this is the the house of disease, this is the house of blood. Yeah. And so the thing that they're showing in the video that they're going to do is swappable heads. So you can take, I guess, existing models, or you can take a model and configure it with whatever house you're doing. So yeah, the houses look like they're going to be very chaosy themed. Yep, summer. And so of course they're going to take this to crowdfunding, Catalyst Games Lab. And so this is kind of torn torn the internet up pretty bad. The the thing that you first kind of think is, oh, okay, so now they're going to take a swipe at Games Workshop. I mean, because this is obviously the 40K setting, and basically I think the only war game that has a equivalent depth of lore and the history, and it's been out since what, the 80s, 84 I think. BattleTech is long lived, but to create a themed box is just a one-off swipe at this. It's like, oh, this is fun, you could play like this, is a little odd. If they're not going to go like completely into it, and they even admitted they don't have the resources to do that. Like if they wanted to split off, kind of do a grimdark BattleTech and then vanilla BattleTech, there's no way they could do that. They just don't have the ability, the finances, or the manpower. So they revealed this on Facebook, and they did provide a PDF with a 72-page lore dump of like what this setting is, like when this happens and what's going on. And they did, we got a tweet, or I'm sorry, not a tweet. We got a, what do they call it on Blue Sky? On Blue Sky, we heard from Michael Stackpole.
Cloud? I don't know.
Michael Stackpole on Blue Sky said he's been tapped to write fiction for it, so they're kind of supporting it. Like if they're going to make him write a novel or novels, or at least maybe short stories. So the thing that this will introduce is kind of kaiju, or these like abominations, because it does look like giant monsters fighting mechs. But so far, and we don't know the details of the crowdfunder, there aren't going to be models for those. So I guess in the box set they'll be represented by cardboard standees or tokens. But yeah, the planet-crushing, biosphere-destroying weapons of mass destruction that I guess kind of works, with the theme of the inner sphere. So they're going to include in I guess what we saw in the video or shots of the realm of the blood dragon and the realm of blazing light. So they're kind of talking about a few of the schools, and I think all of this is in that primer. I'll put a link to the primer, which is actually just their Google Drive. It's just the Catalyst Game Labs Google Drive. You can get this on.
Mm.
But yeah, so there's a role playing game, a war game. It's been video games. Like BattleTech has been all over the place. Yeah, I think Piranha Games, MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries is the most recent thing. They did a clans. They did I think a big Clan Wars crowdfunder. I forget what the most recent one was. Mercenaries, I guess. Yeah, Mercenaries was the most recent one. So
If
7.5. Yeah.
Miguel was here, he'd tell you exactly what the
Yes.
order.
Right. Yeah, the $7.5 million Mercenaries crowdfunder. So the initial reaction by a lot of people was, wait a minute, this is really close to the end of March, beginning of April. Is this just an April Fool's joke? Because it looks silly. It looks ridiculous. So that they're not trying that hard, but I guess they are. They're writing the lore for it and everything. So the Catalyst booth at Adepticon is going to be pretty busy this weekend in Milwaukee because they're going to have to explain what's going on. And so basically they have just said that, yeah, this is a one-off themed box release, and it'll be kind of a starter set for playing in here. But they've already admitted they don't have the resources to make this its own line, so it's just going to be a little bit of a flavor. And like they showed in the video, the Atlas has interchangeable components. So a head, a back tabard, and base reliefs, or bow reliefs, maybe bow reliefs, are going to be changeable on the models to switch them to the 6 main factions of this setting. So it'll retain the core rules of BattleTech with some exciting new additions, for this aesthetic. Yeah, no miniatures for the Abominations in the box set so far. I mean, that could be, if it's a huge crowdfunder, it could get unlocked. But I don't know. It seems like an odd step for them to even to even pretend. They should have kept things as separate as possible and said, yeah, we're not, kind of a DC Marvel thing, never the two shall meet. So this is kind of, it reminds me, the look of it and kind of how they released it reminds me of like a porn parody video. It's like, it's kind of reminiscent of the original thing, and it's Gothic. BattleTech Gothic does sound a little bit like a giant ship battle game. So it doesn't seem like good thinking, and there's already been some teases of, this isn't the first themed box. There's more to come, and yeah,
Oh,
what?
are
Yeah,
they
they're
munchkining this?
maybe, yeah, maybe. And I don't know if it's going to be
Oh,
like, I think it's just going to be their themes, not like licensed IP, but their
yeah,
version of
yeah,
things.
yeah.
But Miguel, speaking of Miguel sent me a little conversation between one of the Catalyst guys. I guess there was an interview or some messages. So Tussa K was asking Ray from Catalyst, so concerns about allocation of the limited resources, to actually make this, make this a thing. And Ray was saying that that was a stipulation for the product. We built a team from contributors that are not already assigned on other projects, and it did not interfere with the actual production schedules either. And so this is a one-off, and he said, yes, this is a one-off. So it's confirmed. The Continuum line, if we proceed, will be a series of one-offs, reimagining BattleTech in a series of different games, genres, or aesthetics, with 2 versions in early development: Rockets and RayGuns and anime.
No.
Yeah, those both sound terrible. What they're going to do, like a 50s atomic age, and then they're going to do a neon covered, Gundam. Yeah,
Gundam looking mechs, yeah.
right. Yeah. So that this does seem like a distraction, and I wonder. I mean, just like what Magic was doing by buying, or like licensing those IPs to do, Lord of the Rings or Fallout or whatever. They are trying to maybe bring in some people that are put off by the the kind of the old school look of BattleTech. Maybe, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it seems like a waste of resources, and it seems like it's not going to be taken seriously by any 40K players. They're going to kind of laugh at it, and only
Oh,
maybe some lapsed players. Some lapsed players may see it as an excuse to
yeah,
try the setting.
maybe, but you're not gonna steal actual active 40K players
Mm,
because they're already mortgaging their houses on all their Warhammer crap.
right.
Like they're not.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
games.
that's
Yeah.
feels like a trial balloon. Like it feels like
Mm,
we'll throw these out there, and if one of them is really big, then yeah, we'll follow up with some
mhm.
more stuff or something. I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah, and maybe they thought this was the strongest kind of genre, switch. But if they're going to do crowdfunding, that will, really show, because they already have a history of multi-million dollar crowdfunding. So if this one is a dud, if this one is, doesn't just barely breaks the goal, then they'll know, that this was a little bit of a misstep. But yeah, but so FASA had the original BattleTech, and I think it's like owned by Tops now, and so
Mm.
Catalyst is licensing it from Tops. So these aren't people that with great respect for any of this. They're just trying to figure out how to make money with it. Um, but first BattleTech published as Battle Droids in 1984, and the Rogue Trader Warhammer 40K was September of '87. So yeah, they had a little bit of a head start with their setting and the game itself.
Yeah, because FASA, what's his name, Jordan Weissman, got the licensed. A lot of the initial BattleTech mechs
Hmm.
are civil defense mechs from Robotech and
Oh yeah,
whatever Robotech was called in Japan.
Macross. Yeah, a lot of yeah. Well, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
three. Yeah,
thank you.
they stole from three anime, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like my favorite old BattleTech mech with the Marauder was just a civil defense mech in that show,
yeah.
and
Yeah, back in the wild '80s when everyone was licensing any robot they could get their hands on. Yeah, from
and
Japan.
you could tell on the early ones, the ones they just designed in house because they just they just look like big clunky guys, like
Right, right,
just robot men next to all these crazy, marauders and mad cats and stuff that look awesome.
right.
And then there's just this big clunky guy that looks like a 50s robot or something.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. This is if this is going to hurt, kind of their reputation for how they're treating this. And already, they've had some problems with their crowdfunding anyhow, getting stuff to people, and they piss some people off. So I'm not sure if playing around with the setting and just doing this alternative thing is what anybody wants. So again, a solution, yeah, looking for a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, are they hoping that Amazon will go, hey,
Oh yeah.
that looks cool too? Because they're not gonna.
Right.
Battletech doesn't have a Henry Cavill.
Right. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, so yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, what the results, the verdict will be the crowdfunder this summer. But yeah, they're sure going to get a lot of attention at Adepticon though for pulling this kind of stunt like right before that. And I think that maybe that's all they want. Maybe they just want some new attention, some new eyes that maybe wouldn't have even looked at BattleTech to kind of say, "Hey, wait, what are they doing over there?" I don't know, but it's a bit silly. I'm not looking forward. If this what is successful, I'm not looking forward to Rockets and RayGuns and anime BattleTech. But
Rockets and RayGuns. So like a Rocketeer kind of Flash
yeah,
Gordon kind of vibe.
yeah, sounds like it.
Eh.
Yeah, and if I mean, they don't have the resources to do this to like totally redesign, and they definitely can't I think that's why they're doing the head swap and the adding the pieces to models, because they can't
Yeah,
do the total resculpts of everything.
yeah, because I went through a BattleTech phase, and I think I owned like 50 mechs
Hmm.
models. Like so, this box is not gonna help a long term player
Right.
really.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting shot, but it doesn't sound like yeah, it's not going to be taken very seriously, and it is not going to help them, especially if this flops. It's going to really really give them trouble just going back to their main line and their main game and trying to get people to support it.
Mhm.
So
Did they not see the Come On news stories, about like losing so much money and missing their targets? And
yeah.
the latest Come On news story, they said that they were late on their financial reporting, and they said it's because they didn't have the staff to complete it or something. I was like,
Oh,
oh my God,
geez. Yeah.
that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we really don't have any idea of how slim and bare bones some of these, companies run these things, like their project management teams and stuff are pretty tiny. And what we see when we see the final product, we imagine, quite quite an army must have manufactured, must have been involved in this. But yeah, it's very surprising.
I think Miguel's ears must have been burning. He just joined the chat.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so Miguel, we got to get your take on the the BattleTech Gothic. Is it the next big thing? And already kind of saying it's a one-off is already like maybe anybody that would, want to get into this is it's already telling them, yeah, there's not going to be a lot of support for it. So you're going to have to support it, you're going to have to uh modify, you're going to have to, kit bash your models to make this work and, stat them out and whatever. That's very
Miguel,
cool.
tell us in the chat, are you going to be the first backer of BattleTech Gothic?
Yeah, it's a very odd release, but it did get everybody talking. There were like emergency videos on every YouTube channel and everything, watching the video, reacting, talking about what this is, what this means. So, yeah, and sure, I mean, if Catalyst Game Labs is that confident that they had securely hold the fan base that they can now play around with this IP, okay, go for it. But that might be a little bit of overconfidence.
It's too much. 2 years from now, it'll be BattleTech After Dark or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but we'll get some grimdark fiction out of it anyhow. Ah, all right. Well, on to our next problem. Look, we can come
Uh-oh.
back. Yeah, our next problem that a solution that doesn't have a problem. Uh, Kings of War Champions. So Mantic announced, they teased it, and now they finally have showed. This is the launch of their new fantasy rank and flank game. So Kings of War Champions. So Mantic Games said, yeah, they're fantasy 28 millimeter rank and flank game set in their world of Panathor, which is their take on the fantasy setting. And the intention of this game is for it to be a quick and easy entry point into this style of gaming. So, and each game is intended to be played in an hour. It's a fixed list, so you're not list building. You're given a hero and some supporting units, and so this hero-led kind of, supposed to be more flavorful in its in what the your army is looking like. Uh, it'll be all pre-decided for you. And so the thing that they had previously, their kind of points, their low points, light way to play Kings of War was called Ambush, and that was just, you were still list building, but you were using a very small model count, and you were just trying to play an introductory game, similar to, I think, what they call Spearhead. I'm not sure if that's Age of Sigmar or 40K, but yeah, Spearhead is the Games Workshop version of tiny, just one box of miniatures to play,
Hmm.
but it doesn't, give you the full experience. So they're trying to do that with this new Champions. So their two player starter set for this is called Faith and Fury, and it's like, again, it's two factions. It's like a demon faction and then the human faction, and they're okay, but it seems like Mantic has always had the trouble of when they do starter boxes of pairing up two factions that, I think in the lore maybe they're opposed to each other, or it's interesting in their lore, but for players, it's always one army you could play and one army no one wants to play. It's always like they're
Ah,
including like this extra factions, like, oh, and fishmen, okay, whatever. Yeah, so it's always they have a little trouble balancing that. So this box is the Basilians, led by Alanis Saltius Company, and the Bloody Cardinal Company, led by the Bloody Cardinal. Yes, you guessed it. So yeah, it's the kind of faithful humans versus the uh, evil demons. The retail on the box, so you're getting quite a few miniatures, but 41 miniatures, but it is Mantic. They're plastic. They're not amazing plastic. They're closer to board game than they are, Games Workshop. But I think they've improved. I mean, I'm talking. My experience has been, a lot of older Mantic stuff. So maybe they have improved. Uh, what's going on, and everything's going to include stat cards, so you don't have to keep track of anything. Tokens and 2D terrain included in the box, so nothing 3D. But it's going to retail for US about $113 US, 87 pounds 50 UK price. So it's an okay entry point. It's the price of maybe one, starter box, like a spearhead kind of thing for other systems. But yeah, so and they already have released they're going to do all of their major factions for their fantasy. So they're going to get Northern Alliance and the Twilight Kin, and the Goblins, and some other the Void Talon, some other evil abominations. But yeah, so then that made them answer the question, well, what about the ambush rules in Kings of War? Wasn't that what that was intended to be the entry point for this game? And yeah, they said that's their low cost version, low points cost version. But you're still making your own lists, and this was kind of made to be playable and balanced and the most fun, because you're kind of centering it around a hero character. So basically, champions is the gateway. You move up to ambush, and then you can graduate to, like, full Kings of War to get the full game experience. But yeah, and then they're also, so along with the supporting factions, they're also going to offer deluxe 3D terrain. Sorry about that. And and my touch screen is on, so I touched the screen. And you can also just buy, if you already have a bunch of models for Kings of War, you can get a gaming mat, rulebook, and tokens separately if you don't need any miniatures. So yeah, the comments under this were a lot of, I literally have no opinion on this. And their starter boxes never have the right the right thing. This isn't really a solution. It's just it's looking for a problem. And then somebody went down through a list of other games by other companies that have already, on a kind of a skirmish level, they still have it's a sorry, it's rank and flank, but it's a kind of a skirmish level. There's already several games that are doing this, including the Game of Thrones, Last Argument Conquest, Last Argument of Kings by Parabellum. There's a ton of that stuff that would be also competing with this at that, kind of price point to enter. So I don't know. I keep hoping for Mantic to kind of stabilize their position a little bit as the bargain the bargain Games Workshop. But I don't know, they're thinking, is this something, is this an answer to something? Because are they actually worried about the old world, because they're doing releases for the Games Workshop is doing releases for the old world Warhammer stuff, so there's new fantasy models coming out. Is this their way to look very inexpensive? Because literally this 2-player set is probably the price of one new new, like, larger model for old world.
Mhm.
Those are some pricey miniatures.
And I'm looking at the pictures,
Mhm.
and the demon faction actually looks pretty good.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the Bloody Cardinal. It's
Oh
a
yeah, yeah.
pretty good looking model.
Mhm.
There's these Bloodletter wannabe guys. They look pretty good. And then the snake guy is okay.
Right.
But then you get to the
Yes.
humans.
Mhm.
They don't look that. They're like 2-3 notches in detail below Games Workshop. Like
Right.
they look more like like the old like Advanced Hero Quest or something like that. Like they don't. They're just not there. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I can't figure out what Mantic like they need to like not do this middle of the road kind of thing where it's just kind of okay and the human factions are kind of okay because they look like they even look like a discount Warcraft, you know? It's like not
Hmm.
even discount Warhammer.
Oh yeah. Well, that doesn't help that they chose that silver and blue color scheme.
Right, right.
'Cause that's so Warcraft is ridiculous.
Yeah, so they should really go like this is the cheapest game, it costs nothing to play this, or this is a an alternative. We're doing what they don't do. Like we have dwarves in space, and like they were trying to take advantage of some of the holes in the factions and stuff in at Games Workshop. Now that's not there aren't really many holes left, and they haven't really differentiated themselves, to like, oh my God, this is a really cheap way to play this, and it's a very similar or better experience in some, in some opinions. But I don't know, or they should just talk about, we're not changing our damn rules all the time, so we're not obsoleting your models and making you buy new
Mhm.
miniatures. They should really go after the big
Yeah,
flaws in the Warhammer games. Yeah.
they should do what Games Workshop doesn't do.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And I think they do, but they're kind of doing it too quietly. Like nobody knows. Like, oh,
oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. They should lead with it. They
Right,
should.
right.
Yeah. Is this? I'm looking at the one picture that has all the components on a mat.
Hmm, hmm.
Does that mat? Is that part of the set?
It might be, but it's probably paper. But yeah, I think there is probably in this
It's
set. Yeah.
uh, just from a wargaming perspective.
Mm-hmm.
They have a unit of cavalry that is at least a third of the width of this mat, and it's like, okay, cavalry needs to maneuver,
Right,
and
right, right.
why do you even put cavalry in this set? Like, anyway.
Yeah, that is the problem when you reduce point sizes for games is you do like there's certain rules you can't use. There's certain strategies and things like you're saying if you're playing on a smaller board, fewer units, the experience is very different. And the game is 1 hour, but it's not might not be as satisfying. The dynamics between the two sides might not be that satisfying. It may be very simplistic and very you might feel like the dice are just deciding everything. There's not really any skill involved. I think that's the problem with the low points games. And so to say, oh, here, this is what this game is like, is not very true because Kings of War really can get big and really expands. And the nice thing is it's fixed base sizes, so you're not pulling models off. You're just like keeping track of wounds with a die or tokens, and so you're free to build these bases however you want because it's not just it can be a little bit more artistic, or you don't have to actually have if there's supposed to be 24 models or whatever on the bases 25, you can you know work with what you've got and it still represents that number of units. So that's the freedom and the kind of difference between this game, and they just don't. Yeah, I don't think they emphasize that enough. And yeah, so you could definitely do Kings of War on the cheap, especially now with 3D printing. If you like that rule set, it's definitely a very playable game, and it's really easy to get into. So I don't think, and especially they have their archive, like Mantic has their thing,
Mm,
their digital delivery. So they should almost do an introductory game, print to play, in both the book, the rules, the cards, and the miniatures. That might be a nice thing. Get people subscribing,
mhm,
just to get that.
yeah.
But yeah, but they love producing miniatures. I guess that's the thing. Yeah. So and these will be a mix. There'll be some older models in there, but of course these heroes are new sculpts and original models. But all their good guys are so kind of
Yeah.
derpy looking.
They all look like they're old models.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. All right, so here we go. Our next miniatures game. Sorry, there's no TTRPG to be found this week. our next miniatures game that we got an announcement for is StarCraft. So Terran, Zerg, or Protoss, you can choose. And so of course, StarCraft is the classic real-time strategy game that created esports in Korea, basically. Originally created by Blizzard Entertainment. The Polish game publisher and plastics manufacturer Archon Studios has now gotten the license and plan to release their initial game in 2026. So we're looking at next year. And they're talking about, I guess, a series of what they're calling board games. So they might be like, everything included kind of things. And their follow up, the 2027, the next year. They're doing a live stream on April 3rd. So just in a few days, they're going to do a live stream to kind of announce this and give you all the details and probably show off some sculpts. April 3rd, probably on their YouTube or Twitch. They didn't specify. So originally released in 1998, StarCraft is the the eternal war, the unending battle in the far future between the gritty Terran military, the high-tech Protoss, and the hordes of Zerg. And no, it's definitely not 40K. It's totally different. But yeah, it's been a popular game for a while. You can still play both of these games on the Xbox Game Pass or PC. They're just like sitting there because Microsoft owns Blizzard. So yeah, that's an interesting situation. So Archon Studios, they first started doing tabletop stuff 2019. I think originally they were just producing like kind of boutique miniatures and stuff, and they did a successful campaign for some plastic terrain for tabletop, and they also did their Dungeons and Lasers campaign, which was a like kind of higher end, I think, lit, like LED lit terrain and stuff. But they've been pretty successful for a UK company. And then they've also been releasing games. They did a Wolfenstein game, and they did a Master of Orion Ad Astra game. And the thing that I'm not sure if this is going to include, if this StarCraft game is going to include, but they have been working on the thing that people are talking about Archon Studios for, pre-painted plastic models on sprues
What?
called Prismacast. So Prismacast, yes, you get kits on sprues that are already colored. So it's nothing on the market exists like this right now. So if they can pull this off, they could change things, I think, pretty big for wargaming. So yeah, nothing revealed about the scale of this game or anything. The live stream should cover all that. And if they are going to use this IP to promote Prismacast, that could be pretty intense. Because if those games, the models are on sprues, pre-colored, all you have to do is put them together. That could be a very different product from anything else we've seen.
Are they saying they're fully painted? Because I'm looking at the 3 minis that they have shown.
Mm-hmm.
The sculpts look pretty nice, although they might be board game-ish. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the detail's nice. But they have a weird prismatic sheen on them.
Oh, might
And
be, yeah.
so I'm thinking it may not be a full paint job. It might just be
Like a finish.
like a weird prismatic. What do you call that? What do they call that other thing? Sun drop or something like that.
I think it's
It might be like that, but with more of a prismatic look to it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's not going to be fully detailed, like printed.
Well, I'm just looking at the 3 minis they've shown.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, so we will see if they can come up with something a little bit original. Yeah, so for you, so I guess I wanted to ask you this question when we were talking about the Kings of War product as well. What is do you think is the biggest obstacle to like wargaming, like a larger scale, not just like a small skirmish like 10 models, but a larger scale war game? What's the biggest obstacle to you? The learning curve of the rules, the hobby aspect of it, what is the thing that would keep you
the cost and the time investment of painting them are the two. Like, well, you said hobby. It's a whole nother thing when you decide to get into a big miniature war game, that you're going to be responsible for painting all those miniatures. That's like two things in one, right? It's like a hobby, and then you play a game with the product you made in your hobby.
Right,
And it's
right.
I mean, I'm still looking at my Zone Wars miniatures, and I haven't finished them.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah.
there's only 10, 12 of them or something. And
Right.
you talk about playing a game where you're painting what, 50, 100 miniatures. Oh my
Mhm.
god.
Right, right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the time. Yeah, for some games, the money, but yeah, definitely the time to get them. And yeah, when they come on a sprue, I think that's the biggest thing. Unless you really enjoy model building, yeah, you're just not going to get there. And it's funny that I've read so many people that are really talented miniature painters. They don't play any games. They just paint models. Like they just enjoy the hobby, and there's no game involved. Like they don't put them on the table. They put them on the shelf.
Hmm.
So yeah, it is a completely different thing. So I'm wondering, because they've a lot of companies have experimented with pre-painted, and even like the Whiz Kids, they do their kind of crappy pre-painted stuff. So does pre-painting take enough away from the hobby that it's only expense and then rules, like learning rule systems? Or yeah, I don't know. So we'll see if anybody will crack that. And you can do nice pre-painted models. Some companies have done that, but they're so expensive that unless you have a wildly popular game, there's no way you can sustain that business model, just because your costs are very high. And they're probably even worse now.
Interesting that it's a Polish company.
Hmm.
40K is ginormous in Poland.
Mm,
Well, all Warhammer really is
right,
huge
right.
in Poland.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting, and maybe that's why they started out basically doing terrain for 40K. Um, that was the
Hmm.
company's first moneymaker. Yeah. So and I remember Chris talking about there was a previous StarCraft board game that was really good. That was like very playable and actually like recreated the real time strategy aspects and everything really well. So I wonder if they know about that, and if they're going to be inspired and influenced by that, or if they're just kind of starting from scratch. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But my thought, as soon as I saw this, oh wow, StarCraft miniatures game. So Microsoft is probably one of the few companies in the world that could eat Games Workshop's lunch. Like they could literally, not only buy them, but they could outmarket them, they could outproduce them so easily. And if maybe the American market, maybe the Korean and American markets might go for StarCraft a lot more than Europe or some some other places. But yeah, StarCraft could be the only like genuine 40K competitor that could, like, they could flesh out their lore, they could do amazing miniatures, and they could really run with it. And it's one of those things that would be so frustrating for Games Workshop to compete against it, because it is their IP. It's their exact IP, but it's legally distinct enough that it exists. It was something that Microsoft actually bought. But that would be pretty funny to if they ever figured that out, because as Games Workshop keeps growing and keeps being more successful, that does make people wonder, hey, you know, how can we get in on that, or is there a way to get in on that? And Microsoft could do it. That's all they do anyhow, is just buy their way into markets. That would be pretty funny.
Until Amazon buys Games Workshop, and then watch out, Microsoft.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, their relationship is getting going to be cozy after a successful movie or streaming series. All right. And finally, our last wargaming news. I promise, I swear. So I want to thank Patrick for this. I got a heads up about this announcement from Patrick. And Patrick also said that he's headed to Adepticon this year. So I'll talk to him about what he saw, and what the stink was, like how big of a buzz the Battlefield about BattleTech Gothic got, how much attention or how much hate people are burning their booth down. or what. But yeah, thanks Patrick for this. And this is about the Monster Apocalypse update. So Privateer Press posted on their site a long overdue update about the status of Monster Apocalypse, and this is one of the games that was bought. Bought by Steamforged. Privateer Press now, Steamforged Games is producing all of their War Machine and Hordes, all of their stuff, their Iron Kingdoms stuff. So they have bought the rights to Mythic's failed Kickstarter for Monster Apocalypse, and it's been kind of silence about how are the backers of this failed Kickstarter going to get their models, what's going on, and this is going to Privateer Press is saying this is kind of what their approach is going to be. So getting up and running with this, the miniature and the game components will continue to be available to the players, and because the players that got burned from the Kickstarter. And how they're going to do this, currently their manufacturing is 100% capacity for War Machine, so they cannot physically produce these models for Monster Apocalypse, even though they have them. So they're going to move the catalog of miniatures to an on-demand 3D printing service and also sell the STLs. So anybody that pledged on the crowdfunding is going to have access to this, and then it's probably going to be available kind of in a retail situation. So you can print the STLs at home or order pre-printed 3D miniatures. But this migration process is going to take a while. So to basically create an online store and access to all of the models that were produced for this game is going to be a while. So as they said, the next few months, hopefully everything available by this summer. So anybody that was screwed over the unfulfilled Kickstarter will have access to all of this. It's basically thousands of backers that they're doing this for. So they have the license now. So Monster Apocalypse was licensed to Mythic as an independent publisher. So Privateer Press, of course, wasn't involved in the Kickstarter. So what they're going to do is hopefully support the community, like provide what was initially promised in some form, and make it available, and try to inspire growth of this player community by their digital offerings. They'll provide the STLs. All the backers will be semi-satisfied. They're not going to get a retail product, but they'll be able to have access to what they paid for. And they're currently also working to they have the 3D files, and they need to build pre-supported versions to make it easier. Anybody that has less experience in 3D printing, pre-supported models save you a lot of time, because you don't have to build that all yourself and check it and make sure everything's going to come out okay. It's been already built and tested. So that again is going to be part of why things are so slow. There's also going to be a PDF repository of the printable cards and map files, so all the backers will have access to all of that. So what this sounds like is very similar to Steamforged Games' treatment of Guild Ball. So Guild Ball was a product that they promoted, kind of their competitor with Blood Bowl, and they kind of backed away from it. They're still going to support it. You can buy 3D models and buy everything digitally to keep supporting the game. But they're not going to have direct manufacturing of this product anymore. And they said, please be sympathetic. And we were talking about this before. The operations are smaller than they may appear. This translation from the Kickstarter to a digital store is a one-person show. There's a single person at Privateer Press that is working on this. They're dedicated to doing this. Everybody else is working on War Machine and Iron Kingdoms. So I got one guy doing this. So it's going to take a while. And yeah, they're hoping by this summer. And so going forward, this is their second step. The first step was how people are going to get their stuff. Going forward, so Monster Apocalypse is a 7-year-old. The current edition is a 7-year-old game. They're hoping to add miniatures to the miniature range, but they don't anticipate creating new content for the miniatures board, for the miniature board game or the miniatures game. They're going to there were exclusives and things that were produced for the Kickstarter that they're going to release as offered as print on demand or STLs. And this is the odd thing, I guess. They have the license, so why not try to make some money with it? I suppose they are going to release do a Kickstarter a crowdfund campaign for Monster Apocalypsonomicon. So, a basically monster manual for the Monster Apocalypse Kaiju for 5e. So yeah, let's make some money with the giant monsters setting that we bought. So that's going to be the only new product you're going to see from them supporting this, apart from the digital assets becoming available. They are looking at two different projects that will be kind of variants on the existing miniatures game. It's not going to be a huge production, but it may be enough to support like a different way to play or something to keep the kind of the player base interested and something fresh to look at. But yeah, so they'll make announcements on their Facebook page, and this is all Privateer Press. So it'll be happening slowly, so be patient and you will have access to something. Your money wasn't totally wasted. And they end the post by saying, "We're thankful for your continued support and enthusiasm and look forward to smashing cities with you in as many different ways as possible in the years ahead." So that's where people stand with this. And I think we talked about the kind of the collapse of Mythic games and who got what. Like some people tried to save certain projects, and so uh, Privateer Press and Steamforged Games are dealing with Monster Apocalypse. So there's a lot of we hear a lot of these, a lot of these stories, and yeah. So this is similar to what uh, the Fantasy Miniatures company that was doing the Black Label, Black yeah, they fell apart on their second set of fantasy miniatures, and another miniatures company picked that up, and they're going to try to produce it maybe as another crowdfunder and to give a big discount to previous backers, or they'll make things digitally available. So this seems to be the thing. If it totally collapses and you're not going to actually send it to a factory to get made, they're going to try to offer digital.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you feel? Would you be happy with like a 3D printed game if you had already backed it for like, $100 or whatever?
Well, since I don't have a 3D printer, no. But
Right. No, but if they
but
were offering like you could get the pre-printed, like they would have an on-demand, print shop
oh yeah,
that would
yeah. No,
deliver.
that'd be fine. I was
Mhm,
looking at the minis and the on their website, and
mhm,
the style is kind of lighthearted.
mhm,
So
mhm,
it's not like you're gonna need a bunch of crazy detail or anything. The minis look kind of cool.
mhm, yeah.
It looks fun. Like of all these topics today,
Yes.
this is the one where I'm like, I hope it works out for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that yeah, Privateer Press, like they're just honest about it. It's like, listen, we're at 100% capacity. You're not gonna see anything new from us or Steamforged. This is all we're doing right now is War Machine. And I keep because the rules are free. The builder and the rules are free for War Machine. So I keep looking back at it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's kind of fun, yeah, because it was a legitimate competitor once upon a time, just like Paizo, Pathfinder was competing with 4E. War Machine was competing with Warhammer pretty easily, and especially in Japan, it was very divided
Hmm.
between War Machine and Warhammer. Not anymore, but yeah. So that's the state of Monster Apocalypse. So if you back that, that's what's going on, and it's nice that they're being open about it and their limitations and what they're doing. It did take them a while to kind of post this update, but yeah, so we'll see. And we might just see a lot more of this. I wonder if because yeah, as tariffs and materials costs and production keeps going up, um yeah, it should be yeah, because that was one of the things that we're talking about with the Infinity group, is the cost of the white metal is going up. So it's getting more expensive to produce the old school metal miniatures. So that's making some companies like look again at Siocast or some of the other uh you know the 3D printing and into those sorts of alternatives, because yeah, materials costs are just going up. So yeah, we'll see what what that does to our poor miniatures games. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I just have this vision of a bunch of mid-level GW managers at the pub in Nottingham, and someone pulls out their phone and starts passing around the teaser videos for BattleTech Gothic, Kings of War, Champions, and then the StarCraft Wargame, and they just all drinking beer and giggling.
Yeah. I mean, Games Workshop is now, in investment in retirement portfolio, pension portfolios in the UK and stuff now. So yeah, they're pretty much established. It's going to take a real big fish to take to slow them down.
Yeah, there's a big stock trading app here called Public,
Mhm.
and I looked on there to see if you could buy Games Workshop shares, and you can't.
Oh.
Because it's listed on the London Stock Exchange,
Right.
and for legal reason X, they only do stuff listed on the New York Stock Exchange.
Right.
So I would have to go out of my way if I wanted to invest in them. But
Right. Yeah, deal with some overseas broker or something.
I just thought it might be kind of fun to buy one share of Games
Uh-huh.
Workshop before any Amazon series hit,
Oh, yeah. Right.
and then see what happens after.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're really with this release of Space Marine 2 and all of the licensing they're doing for products. Like I'm getting spam all the time for bathrobes and knit caps and coffee mugs and all of this 40K merchandise and stuff. They're really going crazy licensing that stuff out. So there's a lot of companies just uh plugging that stuff. So, and it could only get worse. Because they're already doing. I think they have a deal with Joy Toy to do like action figures. Like a couple of different sizes. Like I think a 4-inch and maybe like a 7-inch or something, of specific models from 40K, and those things are like $100 a piece. Like they're really really pricey. So yeah, I'm not sure what what this feature is, but they sure are. They're really going crazy with the license. And I think they've got so many people wrapped up in, competitive play for 40K that they're on this treadmill of insane, investment for new model releases and stuff. So yeah, it's nuts. It's
Mhm.
probably close to the fanaticism of like Magic the Gathering, players, that they gotta buy the multiple boxes of the next set that's the next set release that comes out 4 times a year, that kind of financial investment.
Yeah.
So we'll see. No talking them off that ledge.
So next week's going to be the all role play
I
episode,
hope
right?
so. Yeah, we gotta step away from minis on a table.
Oh, I'll save it for the after chat,
Oh,
but
okay.
we got to talk about Puerto Rico.
Oh,
We got
okay.
to talk about it.
All right. Yeah, because we still it just launched, but we got the Alien revised version to talk about. They're not calling it a second edition, so yeah. We'll
Hmm.
talk about that next week. So that's tabletop related, right?
There you go.
All right. So that's going to do it for this week. So thank you, Matt, for co-hosting. And where can people find you?
I am on the Instagram and Blue Sky, which are apparently skeets, I'm being told in the chat.
Ah,
When you message on Blue Sky, it's a skeet. That's really dumb.
sweet. Yeah.
Um, because Sky. Oh, I get it
Oh,
now.
no.
I get it now. Oh. It's at Hargald, Hargald. Talk mostly games, but I do talk about the impending end to the world sometimes. So
Nice.
if you can tolerate that, feel free to say hi. How about you?
So I've got a single panel gag cartoon that I'm drawing. I just had my live stream for last month's or for March. Yeah, I had for March. So I finished off March, did a couple of weeks of April. For abuse cartoons on YouTube and Twitch. It shows up on this channel as well, so don't be too confused if you click on a live stream and you see someone drawing food and boxes. But you can read this comic at GoComics, gocomics.com/domestic abuse. And yeah, so that's what I draw the comic, and just kind of, it's just a long hang because I'm doing a couple, like a half a dozen cartoons or so. So 2 to 4 hours somewhere in between there, and eat some snacks from the Japanese convenience store that are new and exciting and sometimes delicious. And yes, but if you like what we're doing here on the channel with the weekly on Upturned Table, consider becoming a weakling. You can do that at patreon.com/upturned table, and that'll let us know what you'd like to see more of, and you can send us some news items and tips like Patrick did about the Monster Apocalypse update, and just let us know what you want to talk about. And either becoming a patron or a YouTube member will also give you access to the Discord, which you can chat with everybody in there. Basically, everybody in this chat is in there as well. And yeah, kind of talk about what was on the show and what you'd like to see more of, and just everything that's going on tabletop. So it's Upturned Table on all social media. We do live streams on YouTube and Twitch, and also Facebook and wherever else we can so we can get a server. And we will be playing our second session, kind of full session of Fallout. So the 2D 20 Modifius RPG Fallout with our characters we built from last week. So I'll put a link to the first session. You can kind of hear the very quiet and slow character building process, a little bit of our first scene adventure, and things should get nice and crazy this week. So thanks for joining us, and we'll be back again soon.
Bye.
Goodbye. All right. Yeah, so Carolina's not a fan of this drab, boring background, but there was a TV on a table, so I couldn't pass it up. And look, Matt is I can switch the channel when I'm talking about, you can still hear him, but he's on a different channel. Oh no. So sometimes the signal.
Oh, we should have set something up where I'm doing like quick changes, and
Oh,
you're like,
yeah. That's
change a channel, and I'm wearing like a fedora and I have a tie or
yeah, you're
something.
speaking Spanish. Yeah, we can like change the flip through the UHF dial there. Nice. But yeah, we were talking a little bit before the cast about the Alien, the new Alien RPG crowdfunder. Yeah, and I was looking at I think they're doing that. I don't like when companies do that. They kind of plot their pledge tiers to like not give you what you want, like not give. Obviously, the returning players are just going to want the new core rule book and maybe the new adventure in the boxed cinematic adventure, but you can't get that without buying the miniatures, because the miniatures were made for the adventure. But yeah, we'll be playing it online, so why would we? Why, I'm not painting miniatures for a VTT, although you can.
Mhm.
But
Mm-mm.
yeah, I was just surprised. It's already doing well. It's a 1.5 million already, 7,500 backers. But yeah, so Evolved Edition, that's right. So Alien Evolved Edition. The book looks very different because they didn't do the black background. It's kind of this, drab kind of, off-white, weird like alien eggshell color. So the text is all black and green. So kind of reversed things a little bit to make it, readable and probably more printable as well.
So, have there been any breakdown of system changes or?
They when in their previews they talked a little bit about the stress mechanics are changed, the stealth mechanics are improved. They're going to have rules for miniatures now. And a couple of, and they didn't say it wasn't major, but the other thing that was frustrating, which I'm glad I haven't bought any of these physical books yet, is they are going to do revised versions of Building Better Worlds, the Colonist book, source book, and the Space Marine, the Colonial Marine source book. Those two books are going to get re-released with these updated rules changes. So yeah, I don't know. We got to finish off the trilogy with this old system,
Hmm.
and then see if it's worth it. And they are going to support Alchemy, Foundry, Roll20, and Demiplane um, for digital stuff. But those are all going to be
Oh,
add-ons. Yeah, there's no pledge
but
level. Yeah.
coming to alchemy that's good.
Yeah, and maybe
It's
that's why
because
they were
they.
waiting. That's why it didn't. Yeah, it never got.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because do all that work and then say, okay, now do it again with the new rules and the new. Yeah, but I wasn't. Yeah, it just they're not getting the FOMO thing going from me. Like looking at this, I'm just like, they're not offering much new, and I don't want miniatures. I've already got so many Alien miniatures. There's so many Alien board game or miniatures games already out there. There's board games, and then the whole series of the Colonial Marine stuff. So basically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's been long enough, right? Like I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
It doesn't feel like we've got to chew on the bones of this first edition enough before we get all ready for another one.
yeah. It is surprising. This doesn't seem like something, but maybe I don't know. Maybe this was an excuse for them to be able to include Romulus stuff. Now they can include Romulus weapons and anything that's like changed in the setting. And maybe that was part of the license. If they didn't do this, they couldn't, keep going with it or whatever. Like there must be some reason that it happened so soon, because it wasn't a broken game at all. Like Alien is very playable.
Hmm.
So yeah, and just a bunch of these extra trinkets and stuff, and adding miniatures. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be worth it. So yeah, I had a lot of trouble getting really excited. It's good. It's gorgeous looking. The cover work and the new layouts are nice. Of course, it's Free League. They're not gonna cheap out on that. And they're doing, of course, another collector's edition, which is, yeah, okay. It's a special deluxe, never produced again, unless we have to sell some overstock. Oh, and also they're doing this is becoming a big trend too. Last Survivor, the solo mode for Alien, and that's the Ironsworn designer is doing that rule set. So that should be a nice solid solo rule set for Alien. And it's kind of, I mean, that seems appropriate because that they've already done video games that are kind of Alien Soul Survivor things. So that seems like that could be fun if it's a good AI, for what's happening and the kind of clocks and stuff you're going to be exposed to or under in the game. That might be a really fun way to play.
Hmm.
Just get scared all by yourself. Yeah, and we're getting the Raptor Protocol, the new cinematic adventure. So this will be a totally different. It's not going to be connected to the what we played so far, but it is the same writer, which is good. The EC Gaska, his his stuff is great. I really liked a lot of the design for those. Sean Tompkin is who I'm thinking of. Sean Tompkin and Matt Click are working on the Last Survivor solo mode edition. Yeah.
So the other day I was Googling some alien stuff, and one of the hits that came up was a link to Alien Earth on Hulu Australia. And I clicked it, and it just took me to a login screen that told me to fuck off because I'm not from Australia.
Right.
But I was like, why is there an Alien Earth link out in the wild already? Like, they must be pretty close to getting ready to drop that thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure what the like US release date was, but yeah, it might be close. Yeah, that'll be a strange show. Yeah, I'm not sure how they're gonna pull that off because it should be a very short. Should be like maybe a 4-episode, maybe 3-episode season or like a series, because the xenomorphs are gonna do quick, short work of the planet Earth. So I don't know what we can expect if they make it there. And I wonder how they're going to do it, like time wise, because remember the attitude about Earth from Alien Resurrection, about what a shithole. Nobody wanted to go back to Earth when they found out that the ship was like auto gonna autopilot back to Earth. Everyone's like, I don't want to go back to that shithole. So I wonder if they're gonna play that up or not, like what the look of it is gonna be. But yeah, they already did the Alien and Predator in a small town, like that really dismal sequel to Alien versus Predator, where just like everybody got drawn into the town center and they just dropped a nuke on them. So it's like I don't know if that was pretty dismal, a story of aliens on Earth.
No offense to fans of the comics, because I know they're very popular. The Alien vs. Predator thing I just didn't care. Like, that's such the mashup thing is a classic nerd desire. Like, mash these two things I love together.
Yep.
But like sometimes I'm just like, I don't really care. I kind of like the Predator doing Predator things on his own, and aliens being the terror that they are.
Yeah, and that was just a little stupid props master kind of thing when they were coming up with skulls to put in the aliens' wall. And I think it was the Predator 2. They just threw a xenomorph up there, and then it's unleashed the the flood of, oh my god, they've hunted aliens. Yeah.
Hey, I have a question about Terry's character in Fallout.
Oh, sure.
Are those synths the sort of Alien universe synths, which are kind of like a weird blend of mechanical and organic, or are they like the artificially created genetic things like the Blade Runner synths?
They're more mechanical. Yeah, they're more like artificial people in Alien. Yeah, they're like they've got different blood and weird inside. Yeah. Weird insides. So yeah, like I saw a couple of the illustrations of the exposed like some of the synths with damage. They basically have like just metal support and like pistons and stuff, at their wrists and ankles and stuff. Yeah, so they're very mechanical, kind of wrapped in a convincing exterior. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the stuff that comes out of them is probably going to be more oil and sparks than some kind of synthetic blood. So get your electromagnets ready, I guess. Try to.
So do I have to use my repair skill when he breaks?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Synths and robots, it's all repair. Yeah, and
okay.
No poison, no food, all that good stuff.
Well, the other thing, there's something else I want to get your opinion on. So Amazon's doing a Blade Runner show.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people seem to think it might end up doing the off-world colonies.
Mm.
In which case, I have very mixed feelings about that.
Yeah, that becomes real uninteresting real fast
It,
because
be, it,
yeah,
it becomes not Blade Runner-y anymore, really, right? I
right.
mean, it's
Just Elysium, or like the this yeah, or like what Battle Angel Alita, there's this like perfect world
mm,
that people escape to. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
what would be cool though, which they've done a little bit in the animation, is the colony wars, is showing like replicants, like replicants and how replicants are used and abused in war, and like how there's instability, there's terrorism, and rogue replicants uh attacking the off-world colonies.
Hmm.
It probably, I don't know, I don't know if it would maybe cheaper, a cheaper show if you did it that way. um the sets might not be as intense and expensive, but less, yeah, much less interesting. And I don't think people would get it. Like if you said Blade Runner and then you showed this like very pristine, gorgeous, like perfect life, on
Hmm.
Mars or whatever, I think that would be very confusing
Yeah.
for the IP.
And it's kind of like, there's that whole, you call it cyberpunk, but I know Blade Runner
Hmm.
isn't really cyberpunk, but
Right.
it's there's a feel there where you need to be stuck in this, you know, urban dystopian hellhole,
Right.
with kind of a Morkborg esque doom on the horizon, and like once you go out into space and you're colonizing worlds and there's pleasure bots running around and stuff, it's just like it's not the same thing anymore, right? I mean, it's
Yeah. Yeah, because it would just be like tension at work, with these, because the off-world colonies are already established as the
yeah,
like rich people's paradise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's weird. That would be a weird. I mean, I guess you could, kind of. It might be cheaper and interesting to oppose those two, like having people in the off-world colonies making decisions that you then see the results of back on Earth. Like
uh-huh.
the Tyrell Corporation and things, or I guess not Tyrell, Wallace Corporation, depending on their timeline. But there could be a little bit of interesting back and forth, and then people's desires, because we've had that in the game a little bit, like the replicants trying to get off world, the eights and the older models. um but we haven't really had that with like people, like we just knew that what's his face, the designer, the replicant designer, J.H. Sebastian, was stuck,
Mhm.
stuck for medical reasons, stuck on Earth. But we haven't had that, like people aspiring to get off world in. I'm sure the comics have had a ton of that. Yeah, there's been a bunch of Blade Runner comics, but yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
I always read more into it than may have been there.
Mm-hmm.
Like growing up with Blade Runner and thinking about those blimps going by and the canned recording of,
Mm-hmm.
try a life in the offward colonies, blah blah blah. Like to me, I always got kind of a like outer limits feel to that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why are they trying so hard to get these people to go to these other planets? Like, I always felt like you get there and oh, guess what? You're gonna be a miner on a half terraformed
Right.
planet for the rest of your life or some bullshit like that,
Yeah,
and like
that's right. Yeah, it is Philip K. Dick. So yeah, the colonies off world should be pretty dusty and terrible. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That was the, I forget which story that was in, but that idea that once humans got to Mars, they were confronted with this thing that felt older than they, like the almost like a cosmic horror kind of scale of, we're dealing with something that's older than our mind can even comprehend. The whatever existed here before, whenever this was created, like we don't have that relationship with Earth, but this, like, Mars is so old that it just like takes away, like you feel more insignificant and more, useless than you've ever felt in your life. So this like thing that being on an off-world colony would do to you is just confronting this like scale of existence that's like beyond, your comprehension. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, in the comics, I think there's a lot of off-world colony stuff for people that are living in like these like the rich that are living in these you know restricted communities and stuff that are so yeah, I hope they don't do that, because that'll be really really, and that's bad source. It's just like the Dune prophecy series using the Brian Herbert books, uh that content. I don't think they should do anything that looks like those comics, because there's not a lot great in the comics.
The only thing that they could do with that would be kind of like in the first, I think it was the first Blade Runner adventure we played.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might be fun to have like something happen on one of those off-world colonies where replicants
Right.
rise up and kill somebody, and then they flee, and then you pick it up on Earth,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. That
Mm-hmm.
might be kind of cool, but
Yeah.
don't get stuck. Don't stay out there.
Right.
Because isn't that what happened? Right, there was an implanted memory
Yes.
of on a colony or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
Yeah, it was and plenty of memory of of a house being overrun by soldiers and wiped out. Killed the daughter. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that could be, and it would be such a stark, like visually, that would be so crazy. A replicant having memories of this like paradise and being in this hellhole, like that would be very
Hmm.
cool. But
Hmm.
yeah, but any of the like the kick murder squad, like busting their way out of the military and coming back to Earth, like that would be expensive to film. A lot of
Yeah,
that stuff would be really
yeah.
expensive. It'd be awesome. We'd love to see that, because we just had that described to us, like how the Nexus 6 got back to Earth. They just had to
Mm.
murder their way back to Earth. That'd be pretty cool. But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, we'll
it
see.
could even be little flashback kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. So we'll have Alien and Blade Runner streaming series. I guess before the collapse of streaming. That's good.
So many games.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked up Turkey, Texas.
Oh no, yeah. What's going on in
Yeah.
Turkey?
Population 317.
Nice. Well, 316 now that Lee is Lee
Well,
is
yeah, I
there.
mean, in the 80s, was it like 100 people or something?
Yeah, probably gathered around a gas station. Yeah.
But it's really close to a national, or not national, state park.
Ah, cool. Cool.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. I was telling Abyss and Clarion on the Discord chat that I pretty much have the outline done. Now I just got to get into alchemy and do it.
Nice. Oh, very cool.
So
Yeah.
take your time with this Fallout thing,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, we got plenty of Fallout that we can do. So yeah, however much time you need. Oh, wait. I totally missed this. David Kerber is saying there is no crowdfunding for BattleTech Gothic. I thought I read that somewhere. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, David. Yeah, I read that it was real piecemeal, like the stuff that was
Oh
putting
yeah,
together. So it's just going to be a retail release. So we're never going to know how it was received.
wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I thought for sure.
Oh, are
Yeah.
these boxes? Okay. So these are probably boxes they just want to throw into targets.
Right. Oh, yeah. Because if they have
Mhm.
that distribution and so
Mhm.
you can cause a lot of brand confusion, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
Thanks for that. That seems to be I don't know. I guess though then they could get stuck, because if they don't have the resources for it and they have a huge Kickstarter, a huge crowdfunder that they then have to produce all these monsters and stuff for, they would just put them in a bad situation. So yeah. That's interesting. They're just gonna like throw this box out sometime in the summer with no monsters in it, just heads, heads and pauldrons. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, I totally. I don't know why I had that stuck in my head. I may have had that um about something else that was, but they really, if they're serious about this series of alternative stuff, a crowdfunder would tell them, if that was a good idea or not. But they're already well into it, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going back to the chat.
Yeah, Arturo said there was a Kickstarter for. Oh, I think you talked about this once,
Oh,
Jeremy.
Mechborg. Yeah, right.
Mechborg Steel Palm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did a mech base. Yeah, there was a bunch of kind of indie, very kind of grungy robot games that came out. Some with like a demon kind of thing, that were coming out in a row. I remember that could have been its own episode. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Sorry, I was sorry, didn't mean to mislead, and of course that's not going to get taken. This is after the podcast, so only the patrons and members are going to talk about that.
We'll fix it in post. No,
Yes.
we won't.
Oh, Arturo said, yeah, apparently Michael Stackpole is attached to novelize this new story. Yeah. The only big name in the IP now. Wow. Yeah, it seems like, yeah, they would want to. Ah, weird. It's a weird.
That Jordan Weissman guy, the guy that founded FASA,
Mm-hmm.
he's flipped like 3 companies now.
Oh, yeah?
And he's always talking about himself like he's a lifelong gamer, but I feel like that might not be what he's in it for.
Right. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I can't believe all those properties that FASA owned just got, distributed so strangely, got bought out so strangely. Oh yeah, and we're seeing that with I haven't read a lot of the details, but the diamond auction, the bankruptcy auction is happening.
Oh, the distributors, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I just saw a story about that. I think Alliance bought them.
Right, which might be good because they had a lot of overlap. I think. Yeah, so that might be. I mean, that also means there's going to be redundancy too. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to be doing that anymore. But yeah, so that should be good. And I think because Alliance already did tabletop stuff, I think so they might be able to pick up where Diamond dropped the ball on that. So yeah, that's good. I'll have to read more about it. We can talk about that next week. But yeah. I don't know. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Miguel was saying, yeah, they're doing the plastic Cathay Old World for Warhammer Old World. That's their big release, and I guess there's no Age of Sigmar, no Horus Heresy announcements for Adepticon, which have some people going,
Back in the Warhammer First Edition days, they actually wrote a draft of a Asian-inspired version of the role-playing game called Tetsubo. And it never came out, obviously.
Right.
But like, man, back then, we're talking like mid 80s. I would have
perfect. Yeah.
Because that was like, I was like middle school, early high school, and it's like it's the 80s, so I was all about like stupid ninja movies and stuff.
Right.
But I also was playing Warhammer, so it's like, oh, Japanese Warhammer, this is awesome, and then it never happened.
Yeah, that's funny. I wonder why. Maybe they're just worried about splitting. Yeah, competing with themselves or splitting the brand. Oh, I saw your comment too. Yeah, the Cathay is. Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be any Asian appropriation complaints. They seem to have, done okay. kind of getting around that. Games Workshop is very careful, with some of their. I mean, if they've gotten Lust Demons, they've been able to do a family acceptable version of Lust Demons. Now I think they can handle Asian culture. They've toned it
And
down.
I think they won't overact to kind of the very the internet magnifies everything, right? So there's a small group of people complaining. Wizards of the Coast will take that to mean it's a major threat to their game.
Right.
But I think Games Workshop will just be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's a very American thing. Asian American
Yes.
communities are get much more sensitive. Yeah. Oh, so Miguel's saying, Archon makes good plastics, but their their choice of IPs is a bit questionable. Yeah. So, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, they went with the some funny stuff. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what a StarCraft miniatures game looks like. Nice.
And what are they? Because it's not like you're going to be able to emulate an RTS feel, really. So I wonder what their angle is going to be.
Yeah, they might just have some kind of reinforcement or supply, mechanics. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, supposedly I think I've only seen pictures of the original StarCraft board game, but supposedly that emulated it well. Maybe it gave you points and you could keep adding units. It was kind of like an escalating. So we're actually building, and then so once you had stuff on the table, you could move it, and so that would be the only thing. And I guess that would be interesting for a miniatures game, is if you didn't deploy all at once. It was kind of this like
like phased in kind of thing.
yeah, you were kind of doing this incremental deployment, and so then you could react. Although you shouldn't know what the opponent's doing, but you could react to what the opponent was doing by countering some of their units with yours.
Yeah, it's just not physical. I mean, if you think about like a StarCraft or Warcraft map, it's if you try to translate that into tabletop wargame, it would be gigantic. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Because there's always that terrain that is there to just force you to go down different lanes, and you know what I mean. Like, you wouldn't really be able to do that in a war game, I don't think, or a tabletop war game.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, what they'll how they'll approach it. Yeah, so. Oh, interesting. Arturo was asking us if Monster Apocalypse is anything like the 80s Monster Squad 80s film. Nice. Yeah, it looks like. Yeah.
It looks cool. Like there's a ton of miniatures on their website,
and they've got some nice theming, like the Godzilla like stuff, the giant robot-y kind of stuff. They
They have a bunch of big Empire of Apes Kong stuff going on.
Yeah.
The Ultraman looking guy. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and it should be pretty accessible if they're gonna have STLs. Yeah, it should be good. Oh, did someone say 5e?
Yeah, he's Trolly McTroll. He like retracted multiple quotes. Oh my god, Abyss is practicing restraint.
Uh-oh. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, that is really weird with limited resources that they're going to produce a box of BattleTech Gothic just for shits and giggles. That's so bizarre. I mean, they could really get stuck with a bunch of that. Like that's like one of those risks that if you haven't felt out the market, they're going to produce however many units of those, and then like you said, hopefully get them in big box stores. Hopefully, Target and Walmart will take them.
That's got to be the plan, because
Yeah.
I see that 2-player BattleTech starter at Target all the time, and I every time I almost buy it and then I don't.
Yeah. If they've got that distribution, maybe it's It's fine. You're just gonna see it very, very cheap. Yeah, keep your eyes in the bargain bins because a lot of people that aren't anywhere near those worlds are gonna be like, what is this and why would I buy this? Or thinking they're buying I'm playing Warhammer. Wait a
Oh,
minute.
that's the switcheroo your parents play on you. Well, we could just buy him this $30 box at Target and tell him it's just like
It's
Warhammer.
just right. It's just like Warhammer. Drink your RC cola and shut the hell up.
Yeah. Oh, Mom, I wanted a Shasta.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Arturo's dropping Philip K. Dick titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, Three Stigmata of Eldritch Palmer. Yes, there's some great stuff. Hopefully that Hollywood will never try to produce, but yeah, he's got some really good stuff.
Paranoia and speed use will get you some weird writing.
Right. And eating horse meat because you can't afford a hamburger. Nice. Another fandom split. Yeah. I wonder what I wonder what we're dealing with. And if these streaming series and stuff are gonna actually benefit or kind of, because I worried or I wondered about that when Disney was cranking out the Star Wars series and cranking out the Marvel series. I think it slowed down the momentum of both of those film franchises.
Oh
Because
yeah,
they're
totally.
trying to fill stuff in, and now they don't even want to make a Star Wars movie now. They're just like, whoa, that was a terrible idea. So I wonder if that's gonna, the same thing might happen. Blade Runner will become less special. Alien will become less special because there's like some trashy TV now that may not have been done particularly well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like Blade Runner as a film, like a new Blade Runner film. I mean, I think Ridley Scott threatened he was going to do one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But come on. I mean, what is he, like a million years old now? Like,
Right.
I love you, Ridley. You've made a lot of movies that I love, but it's just time to be an old person
Right.
and retire.
Yeah.
It's very Winchester Mystery House. Like, I think like he thinks if he keeps making movies, he won't die or
Yeah, right.
something.
Yeah,
You know?
it might be. Yeah, if he's got a contract signed for his next film, I must. Yeah, I must continue to exist. Yeah, but his storyboards are fucking insane. Like he is such a talented illustrator. Like
Mm.
I love looking at his storyboards for Alien and Blade Runner and stuff. Just the stuff that he did to just show the storyboard guys like do this. And that was funny. They showed the script and like kind of sketches that Ryan Johnson did for Last Jedi, and it was basically like stick figures, like a 5-year-old's stick figures, drawing like, oh, and here he is in the X-wing. It was horrifying that he would even like put, pen to paper to make an image instead of just like having a storyboard artist do that. But his if you ever want to laugh, look up Ryan Johnson's storyboards for Last Jedi. They're the worst. Yeah.
Oh, have you ever seen? There's an interview that it kind of resurfaced and got recirculated when David Lynch died. Where he's doing an interview, and at one point he starts talking about George Lucas. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, when the meeting that they had, to ask him about directing in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Oh my God. He's like, I always like George because he does what he wants, just like I do what I want. It's just when he does what he wants, he makes billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So I went to Skywalker Ranch and I started to get a headache. And he was like, what was he like? He pointed at this thing and it was a Wookiee, and my head really started to hurt. It was so funny.
Right. And then took him to a restaurant, and all they had was salad. And he said, I don't hate salad, but there's a
Yeah.
restaurant of only salad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like he was showing off a little because he was driving him around in something ridiculous, Lamborghini or a Ferrari or something, just to be
Uh-huh.
extra pretentious, and gave him quite a headache.
Yeah.
Uh,
The red letter media guys are always making fun of George Lucas.
yeah, yeah.
Like anytime they call out like some shitty part of one of those movies, they play this clip of George Lucas talking to people on set, and he's like, it all the stories have to kind of rhyme. And
Right.
they just show that clip all the time because he never does anything new and original,
And I like the they shouldn't have been recording that, but they recorded the screening. I guess it was maybe the first prequel, like uh the Phantom Menace screening, when he was showing it to the execs or whatever, and like they're recording his voice and he's saying, yeah, I think we went a little too far here, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to get this to work, and this is, oh yeah, he was like just exposing, like, yeah, this is not looking how I thought it would look on screen.
yeah.
A lot of doubt was coming out of him.
Yeah, for all the like hate that Kathleen Kennedy gets,
Mm-mm.
I think people forgot that George Lucas doesn't really
Oh yeah, it would not have
he
been
doesn't really know how to make movies either. Like
right, right,
he
right.
he got really lucky with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
He had an actual good director for the second one, and
Right.
like yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and I it was really interesting. Those old the BBC radio plays, and then a lot of like the cut scenes from the original Star Wars movie. There was so much of him going into town, hanging with his friends. Like this was, American Graffiti George Lucas, and I think
Mhm.
they wanted him to put that in Star Wars. So there was a lot written where Luke was hanging out with his buddies, and one of his buddies was, he was on leave, and he was going to ship out and confess that he was going to join the rebellion, and like there was all this stuff that just got completely axed, but that was definitely American Graffiti George Lucas they wanted in that movie, and I'm so glad that's gone, because that would have just like weighed that film down. Like if it was American Graffiti in space, it never would have worked.
Mhm.
If it would have not gotten chopped down to nothing. Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, yeah, he really lucked out, and yeah,
Cuz I think his wife even like helped with the editing,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
one that he divorced.
Right. And that's why, yeah, that's why, at least during when he owned it, he would never release the uncut, unspecial version of the original film, is because she still had royalties. She would get money if they released the original cut. So that's why it never got released, is out of spite.
Mm, mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, but there was the Asian editor and his wife that like basically restructured that movie to make it as compelling and interesting as it was, because they just cut out so much extra stupid information and like nonsense, that it was just a very slimmed down, yeah, building um building action film in space, and it worked so well to not have any of that extra stuff. And that's what's funny, is then he spent the rest of his whole career just trying to cram that extra garbage that they cut out back into those movies and back into that, that franchise, like to do with it what it could never do, is just support like teen drama and family, drama and everything. Yeah. That was not, it was never supposed to work that way.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. And somebody was, reading they did a YouTube video of reading the screenplay, the original screenplay, so it had a lot of that extra stuff in it. And the funny thing, that like the circumstances of that film is, if just if the droids never came to Luke Skywalker and his uncle relented and he joined the academy and he was a really good pilot, he could have been in a TIE fighter shooting at Biggs at at the Death Star attack. Like it could have
Yeah.
gone that
Yeah.
badly.
Yeah.
There would have been no reunion. Yeah, because it's just the funny way that they're just like, oh yeah, the Academy, that's the Empire, and then
Mhm.
if he was a very talented pilot, I'm sure he would have been escorting Darth Vader at some point.
Mhm.
We could only hope.
So, have you been watching Daredevil?
Yeah, I've been keeping up.
So, I'm enjoying it mostly, but was it episode? You know, they just did a double release. Was
Yeah,
it
yeah.
episode 5 was the bank robbery, right?
Mm-hmm.
The worst example of ham-fisted multiverse connection
Oh yeah,
bullshit with
yeah.
that Kamala Khan
Yeah, her
name
dad was
name dropping about 12 times.
right,
Oh my god. You know, my daughter Kamala, and then, cut to 2 scenes later, and then of course my daughter Kamala would say,
right.
and then look, I have a custom made pop
Oh
figurine of
yeah,
my
yeah.
daughter Kamala, and it's like, dude, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, some people were saying that was the remnants of before they did a
Yeah.
revision. Yeah, that was going to be
Uh-huh.
so tied in and so cheeseball, like really much
Yeah.
lighter tone and everything. That would have been such a huge mistake because just seeing him in She-Hulk was like terrifying. Yeah, his walk of shame in She-Hulk was so depressing. Yeah.
So what I've been reading is that episode 6 is kind of the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's as far as they got
Mm.
in the can before they said, no, fuck this, we're resetting,
Mm-hmm.
So I think from here on it'll be a little meatier. But they did have to get through some stuff, like the whole getting to Muse and confronting Muse happened so quickly.
Yeah.
It was not satisfying
Right.
at all. At
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, because there was a reveal in the previous episode, and then everything just started and finished in the next
Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
And then boom, Daredevil's there beating the shit out of him. Pow, pow, pow.
Yeah.
Which is also, do you know about Muse from the
A
comics?
little bit. Yeah.
The whole thing with Muse is Daredevil can't detect him.
Right.
But they apparently took that power away.
Yeah, it was very strange, and he should have been like, a little bit more weirdly resilient in the fight, and yeah, that's a very. But yeah, they already had it, so they had to figure out how to make it work. It was just good to see Kingpin kicking some ass because he's just been in therapy and being berated by people.
Yeah,
The
they're
first
both.
episode.
I am kind of enjoying their like parallel breaking, mentally breaking the two of them. I am kind of enjoying that.
Yeah. But and I can't even remember very well the Netflix series. I watched that so long ago. I should go back.
Oh, really?
And see if I.
It was good, man. It was
Yeah,
a solid show.
yeah. I should go back and watch it because I think I kind of skipped around. I didn't ever like watch, whatever. I would like either put it on and fall asleep, and it would keep playing, and so then the next episode was So I would never get
That was Iron Fist.
Oh yeah, that for you, yeah.
If you guys want to have some fun, try to get Dylan to talk about Iron Fist at our next Fallout session.
Okay.
He was so mad at me because growing up, when I was in my big kid comic book collecting phase, dude, Power Man and Iron Fist, that was the business. I bought everything they had, right?
Yeah.
So I was so pumped when that came out, and Dylan was still a kid because that was years ago.
Right.
And so we're all like sitting down to watch it, and he is just like, "What is going on? This is like an office drama. What is?" And so, like after like the first couple episodes, every time we'd watch it, and it would just be Danny Rand sitting at a desk or in a boardroom, and Dylan would just be like, "Iron Fist." I was like, "Yeah, this is stupid."
Yeah. Those shows, I think they did not have the budget, or they didn't give them the budgets to do it, and they just wanted to, and I guess they were just like trying to get a series for all those characters so they could make the Defenders. They could just do a Defenders.
Yeah, they were doing what Disney does. They were just like, let's just get this crap out there so we can get to our big thing. Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I hate to be the poopy head, man,
Oh
but
no, that's no
I
problem.
probably should wrap. I got to
You
get up
gotta,
super early
yes, and you
tomorrow.
got to be ready for some Fallout. You got to be
Yeah,
post-apocalyptic.
yeah. I need to get my Z's so I can play a robot.
Yes. All right. Well, cool. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. It was good to see everybody in the chat, and I'm glad Miguel showed up for the
Hmm.
Gothic battle BattleTech. Yeah, we'll see.
He
So
he didn't seem angry enough though. I felt like we should have got a little more anger from Miguel on this one.
yeah, if it's straight to retail, yeah, it's gonna be a wet fart. No one's gonna notice. It's just gonna have a lingering smell. Yeah. That's a weird way to approach it, especially if they're admitting they don't have the resources to support it.
Hmm.
But I can't wait for the anime version. That's gonna blow it up. But all right, so everybody take care, and yeah, come back tomorrow this time for some Fallout. We'll be marauding in the wastelands. And yeah, so thanks for joining us, and thanks especially to the members and patrons. Yeah, take a look. The full Tunnels and Trolls adventure that we did is on the outside of Patreon, if you would like to see. So if you're a free patron, take a look at that. Yeah, it took forever to upload it onto Patreon, but they did get it there, and they only limit you by minutes. Like you can only have so many minutes. So yeah, it was good. The file size didn't matter, so it was a huge file. So yeah, check that out, and that's also up on member section of YouTube. So thanks so much for watching. We'll be back again next week, hopefully with less wargaming, more tabletop talk, and see you then.
Night.
Goodbye.